Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Maggie Slowik, and I'm the Global Industry Director for Manufacturing at IFS. And we're really delighted to have you with us for the session focused on the Evergreen Journey and what it means to continuously evolve your ERP environment while staying current and certainly future ready. And I'm really delighted to be joined today by Joakim Stolt, CIO at Ependion AB, who will be sharing Ependion's experience of upgrading from IFS Applications 10 to IFS Cloud. And we'll talk through what exactly drove that decision, how the transition unfolded, and the value of moving to an evergreen cloud-based platform. And as we go through the discussion, please feel free to share any of the questions or reflections that you might have in the chat, and we certainly encourage you to join the conversation and take advantage of this interactive format. Without further ado, let's get started. Joakim, welcome. Could you start by introducing yourself and your role at Ependion and what exactly you're responsible for?
Sure. So my name is Joakim Stolt. I'm the CIO of Ependion. I've been with the company now for plus 35 years. Besides being responsible for IT, I'm also responsible for our IFS environment. So everything from rollouts to upgrades and all the different projects that we do. So I'm quite involved in the daily operations of our IFS environment.
And for those of you who may not know Ependion, could you just tell us a little bit more about what the company does and what types of industrial solutions you provide, Joakim?
Yeah, sure. So Ependion consists of two different business areas. It's bioelectronics and it's Westermo. And both of them develop, manufacture, and sell electronic equipment for the industry. So looking at bioelectronics, they are focused on HMI equipment, automation equipment, and they are really strong in segments like marine industry, building, and also energy sector. If we look at Westermo, they are strictly in doing communication devices, basically. High-end communication devices, everything from Wi-Fi to 3D, 4D, 5G, whatever, and are really focused on really strong in the train industry. So both companies or both entities, they work with high-end technical solutions and are really used to working in very extreme environments with high reliability as the first or second and even third important thing for them.
Now, I understand Ependion has been an IFS customer for quite some time. How long have you been responsible working with IFS, and how has this relationship evolved over time?
Yeah, so I've been working with IFS for, it's more than 15 years. We started back in 2010, and then we started from scratch, basically, rolling out to our different companies. So I think I've done more than 15 rollouts and several upgrades during the years. And we started quite, as everyone, when you go into something new, you need to learn first. So we had a lot of help from IFS in the beginning. That's actually one of the big reasons why we selected IFS to get the consultants to help us to set up the solution and do it right from the beginning. So at that point, it was quite a lot of contacts with different consultants and all of that. But as time passed, we have built our own organization. So today we rely on a super user organization, and we do pretty much everything ourselves, from technical configurations to rollouts and managing the projects. So I would say that we have always had a close cooperation with IFS. But today it's almost like a partner. We're not that much customer and supply. We are working together and we have close cooperations in many areas. We are participating in several pioneer programs. but we're also cooperating in different, everything from R&D to other tasks. So I'm really happy with that because it's a very important part of our way that we handle IFS basically and how we manage IFS.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joakim. So I understand Ependion operates in highly mission critical industrial environments. How does that reality shape your expectations when it comes to enterprise systems just like IFS? What was important to you?
I think it's really as simple as the same thing. We expect reliability, and that's is so important for us. We must be able to trust both the supplier, the system, the way it operates, and we need to have a very, very stable product, basically, and service from IFS. And that's also one of the reasons I would say that we selected to go with IFS Managed Cloud, so that we can have that security and the reliability in our systems.
Joakim, how did you prepare your data as well as your organization for the migration to IFS Cloud?
Well, I think when it comes to the data part, it was not really much to prepare, to be honest, because the data models were quite similar between IFS 10 and IFS Cloud. So it was quite straightforward. There were some things that we needed to consider, basically tied into functionality that was no longer available. For example, I know that many customers use yellow nodes a lot, different types of nodes in IFS 10, and all of that information we didn't want to lose. So of course that we spent some time in managing that and how to handle it and how to transfer it in a good way. But otherwise it was not so much the data. Saying that, we didn't do any migration of the data. We did a simple, straightforward upgrade and didn't migrate, didn't clean up or something. That's a separate project for us. When it comes to the organization, I think much of it comes down to training and training in basically the change in UX, because that is a big change for the users. So we spent a lot of time preparing them with training, helping them to understand mostly the differences between the different systems. How did you work before? How are you supposed to work now? And since a lot of functionality changed or even is missing in cloud, then we need to tell them, okay, this is the way you do now, and this is the way you do in the future. So training for the end user part was the key here.
What would you say were the biggest challenges that you encountered during the upgrade, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, there was a few challenges, I would say. And the biggest challenges was tied into permission sets. Permission sets was a nightmare for us. We had a lot of different role-based permissions in IFS 10. And moving to cloud, we needed to change basically everything. So we had to start from scratch. And that took a lot of time, and it was like a catch-22 as well, because we couldn't get the users to start testing before we had the right permissions, and they couldn't test so we could get the right permissions. So that was a big part and a big thing for us. We needed to spend a lot of time on that. And then I think also UX. Basically, at that point, there was some missing functionality in cloud, and we spent quite a lot of time understanding what that meant for the users and what they could do to get around those things, and to explain for them how to handle missing advanced queries, for example. That's a single point where we had most questions and most problems, I would say, and being prepared on that and letting them know what they could do to help on those scenarios was a big help. So again, coming back to the UX training, we created small videos, different areas that they could watch and so on. When it comes to things like configuration, and we have a lot of configurations because we try to stay away from customizations. So we have a lot of configurations, and we had that in IFS 10 as well, but that actually was not a big deal. They worked quite smooth. But what we had problems with, and a lot of problems with, was customizations. We don't have any, like, the customizations we have are integrations basically. And everything was new in cloud. The way that customizations are handled, the way that you use build plates to change them and so on, we weren't really prepared on that one. So it took more time than we had anticipated, even if it was not so much. So that was a big challenge for us. So how did we handle this then? Well, I think a couple of different areas. When it comes to permissions, it's just manpower. We had one guy handling the permissions, and we actually changed the way that we manage permissions. We went from role-based and said, okay, this is included in this role. Instead, we said, this is the role and this is excluded from the role. So we turned it a bit around, and that helped us a lot in streamlining how we handle the permissions. UX training was videos. Customizations was a lot of hard work, basically, because it was hard to test. So we had to do several iterations on the customizations to be able to test them before we went into production. And then we did also one big preparation, I would say, and that was integrations. Because before we moved to IFS Cloud, we set up a new integration platform. And we moved basically all integrations before we moved to cloud. So this new platform was all ready when we moved to cloud, and we could just do the final change, so to say, because there are quite a lot of similarities in terms of building integrations, modern integrations in 10 and cloud. So that helped us a lot as well. But single mouse permissions, a good strategy for that.
A good strategy, and you were very well prepared, needless to say. Now, in terms of the disruptive nature of upgrades like this, how did you balance running your day-to-day operations in parallel with this massive upgrade? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so most of the time was actually spent on the technical side. So it was a hard work for IT, and it was hard work for the people involved on the technical side, because most of the work was spent there. So we had some extra resources, for example, on permissions, that could do the bulk of the work. And then also we extended the test period. So we had quite a long test period. I don't remember exactly, but I think we had at least 6 months of testing period for the organization, for the technical staff, and for everybody. And we did a couple of different iterations of the testing as well. Given a so long test period, you of course need to manage it. So you can't save everything to the last week. So we had like different steps where we monitored that testing was actually happening in different areas and so on. So, but the long test period gave us, I think, a bit more confidence, because if you go in repeatedly into that environment and you test different scenarios, then you learn it step by step, and then you watch some videos, and then maybe you watch them again, and so on. So that was one of the critical things, I would say.
Yeah, certainly something I hear from other customers, the importance of diligent testing. Looking back in time, Joakim, is there anything you would have done differently?
Well, I think two things, really. Managing the permissions better from the start. Like I said, have a better setup for it, working with exceptions instead of everything that needs to be included. I really started with that had helped a lot. And then I think also the customization part, we should have had a better test plan for that. We should have been more aware of how difficult it was and maybe even removed more of them before. Now we said, okay, let's bring them in, and then we remove them. It would be better to remove them before. So that, I think those are the biggest things. Otherwise, not so much. I think the time frame and so on was quite okay.
Let's talk about business impact. Since moving to IFS Cloud, what capabilities or improvements have had the biggest impact on how exactly Ependion operates today?
Yes, I would say, if I look at it from an overall point of view, I would say the evergreen possibility or the possibilities for us to move quite quickly and stay up to date. Because in that way, we are able to bring in new functionality quickly whenever it's needed. So the flexibility that that gives us, and also naturally streamlining our integrations and so on, that helps with that. We actually can do upgrades when we want to. We can pinpoint a certain release and we can plan for that quite quickly if we need it, depending on the changing business requirements. Just looking at things like AI, being on cloud when AI started to be very important for us was a big advantage, because suddenly we could bring in AI functionality, we could go for some pioneer programs on AI. So we were really ready to do all of that stuff. So I think that's the most important thing. Then there are other benefits, of course. The UX is modern. It's easy to bring in new users. It's more or less what you expect today of a new application or a new system, that it's up-to-date, modern, web-based, etc., etc. So all of that helps as well. And I really like the possibilities in IFS Cloud to configure certain things. It's so easy to remove things that are unnecessary, change the screens to fit your requirements and your business processes. And that we were not really able to do in a good way in those solutions. And that has also helped to streamline our processes. Then I actually picked a few technical things as well, because I think those has been very important for us. One small thing that has quite a lot of impact is the workflows, the possibility to build technical workflows. And that's a very good possibility to us for tie together the processes, tying different areas together, tying our integrations into IFS in a good way. So the workflows changed a lot in those possibilities. And that also means that even if we had a lot of struggle with our customizations, today, when we're upgrading to the next release, we are removing almost all of them. And that's thanks to things like workflows and also the integration platform we have. That we are very flexible in that, and we can do new things very easy.
Yeah, and it sounds like it really gave you far greater flexibility and put you in a better position of control, which is great to see. Let's talk about financial benefits. Which ones did you see? What sort of cost efficiencies did you observe since moving to IFS Cloud?
Yeah, so first of all, we don't really measure how much we save on everything. We don't really see that as the part here. We want to have a modern system. We want to be up to date. We want to have the flexibility for the business. We want to be ready when something changes, like AI, and we need to be ready for that. So it's not really like a big question for us. On the other hand, we did see some savings actually. But I think the savings come in some surprising ways. One of the savings we see is in user support. We actually saw a reduction in the user support for IFS application, and that was not so expected, but of course very good. And then we have savings in faster upgrades, faster implementations, shorter projects for upgrading, shorter rollouts. And that's also boils down to quite a lot of savings, actually. But we don't really we don't have a KPI for the daily savings that we do because of IFS Cloud now.
Understood. And you talked quite a bit about user interface and the advantages you observe there. Can you just go a little bit more into detail around how has your user adoption changed with the new interface and workflows in IFS Cloud?
I think one thing is naturally when you bring in new users, it's quickly to get them up and running. The users that were used to IFS 10 was harder. Naturally, you've been working in the same system for many years, you know what you have, and it's harder to change them to understand the new interface and to accept it. But I think if you give it 6 months, then all of that went away. And then people started to see the possibilities and asking for new things instead that we could do in a new interface. And having that flexibility with workflows and with other things gave us also the possibility to give something more to the users that they couldn't really have before. So today, I would say adoption is not an issue anymore. And since we are basically evergreen, so to say, even if we are still releases and so on, it's very easy for us to move on. It's not like a big challenge to go to the next release or something. It's a natural step to do that. So.
Yeah, that's brilliant to hear. And in coming to a very strategic aspect of it all, so if you compare IFS Cloud to Apps 10, how did that change the speed of operations and decision making at your company?
I think again, it's back to the flexibility that we have today. That it's very easy for us to make use of new functionality whenever we need it. And we don't really know in advance what it will be. So for us, we were ready and we did introduce new system for our BI solution. Naturally, AI come in as a big part. And also the flexibility that now suddenly everybody wants to make use of the AI tools. But if we are where we are, then we can also implement it. We can see effects on it. And we can really, with not so much work and not so much impact, start to use embedded functionality or other functionalities. Yeah, and that makes us faster, basically. And it's faster for us to get new things up and running.
AI. Let's talk about AI because everybody is talking about AI nowadays, Joakim. So IFS Cloud includes embedded industrial AI. That's how we call it. And how has moving to the cloud changed the way you think about AI in your day-to-day operations? And where do you personally see the biggest potential and impact?
Naturally, it has changed a lot. Definitely, AI is something that we always look at first. Can we bring in AI in some way to solve this? And being on cloud, it makes us possible to do it. So we are very curious and looking a lot on the embedded functionality in IFS and seeing what will fit for us, what can we make use of, and what is important for us. And the thing that I like with embedded functionality is that it's so easy to get started. You can start using AI with not much work at all. And you can do it in the areas where you feel it's most beneficial and maybe even where the users are most ready and prepared for it. So I think that's great to have so many different options and more coming in future releases. And when it comes to most potential with the embedded AI, I must say Copilot, because there's really no limit to what you can do with a Copilot. And I see a lot of user cases in the future where the IFS Copilot can help us. And this is also something that the users are used to using. So it's easy for them to get started with the integrated Copilot. And there's really no limit there, what we can do in the future. So I'm hoping a lot for that and how we can make that even more useful for our end users.
Very intuitive and hopefully very empowering for your end users. And still on the
Yeah.
topic of embedded AI capabilities, is there anything in particular that you're currently testing, piloting, or rolling out, or something that you are particularly excited about? And I understand you have been looking at functionality like MSO, customer order automation, anything in particular you'd like to share?
And yeah, so we have been involved in quite a few different things, but I think the ones that you're naming is the ones that I like most. For example, the scan custom order functionality that is embedded in IFS. Again, it's so simple to get started. Everyone can do that. Everyone can get started with that. And it can bring a lot of functionality to users and time savings. So I think this small functionality that is actually using modern AI can be really, really helpful. And it's a really good way to get started. Maybe you're not ready to go for digital workers or something, but you can still make use of these functionalities in a very simple way. And then we're also working on a much bigger project, and that is the MSO. So manufacturing scheduling is really difficult when you have a lot of products and you have a fast-moving market, you have different component situations and so on. So we're really looking forward to implementing this fully. We have, for different reasons, been waiting with it, but now we are ready to implement it fully in our production. And I think there's a lot of possibilities there, and that will definitely be a big time saver, and also making it a better quality, basically, for our planning. So I would think that will help a lot.
You certainly are making it sound like it's easy to get started, and that's really what it should be, right? With AI, it should be easy and not difficult for companies. Shifting towards a slightly different type of AI, you already touched on it. It's agentic AI. Can you share with us? I understand you have already looked at agentic AI and at digital workers. Which ones are you looking at or experimenting with, and in which parts of the business?
Yeah, so we are quite far ahead, I would say, there as well. We have started to work with it both outside IFS and inside. So what we're doing right now is actually that we are just live with Supply Order Manager. That for us was an easy thing to start with, and where we quickly could see the benefits from the organization. So it's really interesting to see how the users are starting to work with the digital co-worker, as we like to call it, and to interact with it and make sure it learns and builds up trust for the end user. So that's really our pioneer project, and it's so far so good. And I think it's many lessons learned there, and we are actually ready to do more. So we are going to start the same journey with custom order. So having our digital co-worker monitoring our inboxes for custom orders and creating them in IFS directly. And that's also going to be a big time saver. And then further down the line, we will see what's coming. It could be everything from finance to manufacturing to different areas. So really looking forward to that journey with the digital workers.
Yeah, I love that enthusiasm that I'm hearing in your voice and seeing in your eyes, certainly. You talked quite recently in a meeting I had with you and other customers around how quickly your team embraced agentic AI. I think it's a story around change management. Can you just tell us more around how your team reacted to this and the excitement you were able to create?
Yeah, I think it's some hard work from different parts of the organization as well, because we have really worked hard on starting to train our users and give them the possibilities. It's much about giving them the possibilities to use things like Copilot, use things like agents and so on. And when they start to get familiar with that, they just see the possibilities and they want more. And then they say, like, we need to have this in IFS, we need to have it everywhere. And when you can enable them to actually do that, then they are very enthusiastic, because if they have started a journey, they see the help that they can actually get in their daily work. I think that's why people are so engaged in it, because they see the potential. It's easy to see the potential. It's almost like having an assistant doing the boring work for you, and that works 24/7. So that is a big part of it, that we have tried to involve them very early in the adoption as well, so they can be a part of that journey.
Yeah, I love that, because it's all about augmenting people rather than threatening their jobs, right? So really love that angle. Now, a big topic for a lot of organizations is, how do I assess the value of AI? What are your thoughts around this? How would you assess the value of AI in general?
Yeah, that can be hard sometimes, because when do you see real value from it? But I think it all comes down to time saving in some sense. If you have a coworker that helps you with your daily work, if you start seeing time savings for your own time, then you can spend that on many different things. So I think the easiest way to show the benefits and to assess the value of it is to see what time can it save for us. And it will not start with a lot of time saving. You need to spend time on it, as you do with any new hires that you do. You need to train the workers, you need to train the co-workers, you need to train your AI as well. But when you do that, and when you spend time on it, then you will see the time savings as well. And that may be not so much time for a single user, but when you aggregate that to the whole company, it becomes a lot of time. And that can be in different areas, everything from Copilot that people are used to using today, which is a time saver already in many areas. But the same thing applies for the digital co-workers. We will be saving a lot of time when that's up and running, and then we can spend that time on other things. So I think time is the answer. You can see it in that.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, AI takes a certain level of risk, right? And it's an investment at the end of the day. As you say,
Yeah.
it requires you as an organization to invest the time to make it work. Coming on to maybe more of an inspirational story to those listeners who are joining us today. I personally still hear a lot of reservations around adopting AI, whether it's around having the right talent, having the right data or enough data. Lots of obstacles. We do know though
Mm.
that AI is a proven technology. There is no return, right? So what would be the type of advice you would give to other organizations in terms of getting the AI journey started?
Well, I think it's quite simple. Just do something. You need to do something. You can't ignore it. You need to do something. And if that is a co-pilot project, be it, or if it's a digital co-worker or something else, it doesn't really matter. But you need to start the journey somewhere. And then you will see the benefits, and then you can take the next step. And I think a good example was the custom order scanning. If you start with that, then you start your brain to think about other things that you can do. And if this is helping me a lot, then I can see, okay, maybe I need a digital worker. That would be even better. So just start something and some project. You can't do everything. You can't be best at everything and do all of the AI stuff all the time. And you don't necessarily need to have the best Copilot or something. You just need to have some Copilot. You need to have some AI functionality, and start there. And then touching back to what you say about the data, I think actually there's a really big shift here, because previously when we have done improvement projects, it has always come down to, well, we don't have the correct data, we need to clean it up, we need to do that before we can implement. But this is not really true anymore, because that's exactly what AI can help you with. The data doesn't need to be perfect. You can tell the AI to ignore that or act on that or fix the data even. So, and you don't need to have everything in place to do it. You can get by with the data that you actually have and still see the benefits. So I think don't be afraid of it. Just get started with something, some small projects, and pick up the people that are interested, because I'm sure that every organization has a lot of people that loves AI. And I have a lot of people that hates AI, but pick up the people that loves it and let them try in a business scenario, in a controlled environment, in a controlled scenario, and make them your super users. And then they can spread their knowledge in the organization. So creating a platform for the end users and for the super users to live in and to be able to use different AR tools, and don't block them from doing that.
I love that, because what you're describing here is basically a journey where you take people, your people, onto the AI journey and make it grow within the organization. That's great.
Yeah.
Joakim, if you look into the future, where do you see the biggest opportunity for Ependion as you continue your journey with IFS?
I have to say digital workers or digital co-workers, without a doubt. Right now, there is no end to the possibilities here. And I think also the combination of digital workers and Copilot. And as we bring in more information and make that information available to the AI functionality, there will be so many possibilities for us. And as we train the end users, as we train the staff to interact with the digital workers, we will create its own organization, and I'm building a lot of information learnings into that. And we have so many possibilities to use this information in different ways. So the same information as the co-pilots and digital workers are using, it could be the same information that we have in our BI system, in other systems. So making sure that the data is available for all the different entities and building on that. And then when we see digital workers in the end interacting with each other and doing, even making decisions on their own in some cases, not too near future, but a bit further on when we're used to it and when we can trust it fully. But I think those possibilities will be interesting. And I think there is where the biggest possibilities are.
Yeah, a very exciting future where you can make ever more so usage of your data.
Yeah, definitely.
That brings us to the end of today's session. If you have shared questions or comments in the chat, thank you so much. We will definitely make sure to come back to you and act on those appropriately. Thank you also to Joakim Stolt from Ependion to share his journey with IFS and for sharing his insights into upgrading from IFS Apps 10 to IFS Cloud and embracing an evergreen approach. And we hope that you find these insights useful. If you would like to continue exploring what a move to the cloud could mean for your organization, we will soon be launching the IFS Cloud Upgrade Calculator. And that calculator is exactly designed for IFS applications customers to help assess the needs of the current technology landscape and better understand the potential business value and returns of moving to IFS Cloud. So do keep an eye on your inbox for more details coming soon. With that, I would like to thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope that you found the session valuable. Thank you so much.